Hello, lads and girls, this is Lord Kicker and welcome back to another episode of IX Monstrum Nox. Alright, let's go and talk to Shantae. Well, if it isn't my favorite little darlings. Working hard, I take it? Hi Shantae. Oh, and you too, Mr. Roscoff. Oh, this is your first time meeting, isn't it, Adel, my dear? Allow me to introduce you to Mr. Roscoff. He's the owner here at Le Bistro Blanc. Le Bistro Blanc. Hello there. Pleasant to make your acquaintance. Mr. Roscoff here is a business neighbor of Pendleton's. We often have him cater for us. Are you already familiar with him too, Shantae? Oh, I've known him for quite a while. He and I are fellow culinary artists, after all. We get together for a little advice session every now and then. Just like this. An advice session? Is something the matter, Mr. Roscoff? Well, yes. As it so happens, I was thinking of expanding our menu in the near future. Namely, by bringing back a local specialty from the previous owner's management. Unfortunately, we have a rather rough time figuring out where to start. A local specialty? Now that you mention it, I think I remember eating that dish when I was little. I assumed ownership here upon introduction by a local eatery after the war 8 years ago. As such, I've never had a dish myself, but the townsfolk consider it quite a delicacy. Sadly, however, all but mere fragments of the recipe has been lost to the ravage of war. The previous owner took any remnants clue with him when he passed a few years back. As much as I'd like to help, I'm afraid I'm at a loss with this. If only we knew what ingredients were used, then we might be able to recreate it. Perhaps it would be more constructive to think of a new menu item entirely. Mr. Roscoff could really use our help. What do you think, Adel? We may as well lend a hand.
Yeah.
Well, aren't you a sweetheart? I couldn't ask for anything more. Are you sure it's not any trouble? I've gotta try this dish myself. Gotta have my 3 squares a day. Gotta try it myself. Oh, now I see. Trying to get yourself a little local flavor, aren't you? Naturally, I'll be willing to compensate your efforts with a good meal. It's the least I can do in return for your assistance. Sounds fair to me. It's a deal then. As for where we can start, there have to be people around who remember the dish to some extent. If we find them and ask, we might be able to figure out what the ingredients are. Oh, now there's an idea. I can say with some certainty that the dish incorporates both seafood and vegetables. Perhaps you could ask someone with a great deal of knowledge about either. What would make our best bet that Main Square Market and Algatory District? Right, and even though I can only vaguely recall the dish myself, it does mean there's a chance Carla remembers it too, more than I do at least. Let's start asking around, Adel. Alright. See you around, fellas. So I guess we're going over to Pendleton. Oh, it's you all. Is something the matter? Well, actually, there's something we wanted to ask you, Carla. You asked Carla if she knows anything about the bistro's long-lost specialty. I see. So you're planning to recreate the dish then? We hope so anyway. We were thinking you might remember it better than I can. Well, I was pretty young at the time myself, so I can only have the vaguest recollection. But I do remember one thing. The broth was warm, soothing, like a herbal soup. Herbal soup, huh? It was the most delicious part, rich with all sorts of simmering spices and fish. We were so small back then, but you'd always make room to ask for extra helpings of soup. Did I really? It sounds familiar. Calling it medicinal does sound a little unenticing, but even us kids liked it. One sip of that soup could draw in just about anyone, no matter what their taste. You know, I think I actually have the recipe written down in my room somewhere. Wait, you do? Well, we had this awful cold a long time ago, so I asked the owner how to make it. Ah, memories. He was such a kind old man, and wonderful with kids at that. Oh, yeah, I remember that too, definitely. It shouldn't take long to dig it up. Do you mind waiting for a bit? Not at all. Thanks, Carla. Well, looks like we got it. That was easy. Okay, there's something down here too, though. And it has to do with it. Papa, what do you think about fishing out by the river mouth? Ah, this time of year we might be able to catch the fish on their way from Esterior. Here we go. You have some business with me? A fisherman would probably know, right? We were just wondering something. You asked whether Felipe knows anything about the bistro's specialty from years ago. You mean a Le Bistro Blanc? Right? I know the dish you're asking for. Really? What was it called? Not exactly recall, but I do remember having it back when I lived in the Noble District. It blew my low expectation of commoner food straight out of the damn water. The juiciest white fish, firmest clams, the tenderest shrimp. Dish had it all. Always loved fish. Now my days are spent reeking of it. Fate's a cruel one, I tell you. I'm sorry to hear that. Still, it's whetting my appetite just hearing about it. Dish with that much seafood in it must have been worth every last bit. It was, especially considering how easy fresh fish comes by thanks to this canal. And that's not even counting imports. There's a reason Balduq has so many seafood dishes. Our customs of eating fish on the hieroglyph fate days fastening doesn't hurt either. Ah, this really brings me back. What I wouldn't give to have another taste. It really was Balduq's specialty. Through and through. Could we maybe ask you to tell us more about the specific seafood used in the dish? Well, let me think. If memory serves me, the particular white fish they used was... Right, we got our information. Oh, no, I'm supposed to actually move here. There's someone we can talk to. Oh, and there's also stuff here. Oh, welcome, welcome. Here to buy some fresh produce? We sell our crops wholesale to stores all around. Won't find them easier than this. Maybe she would know. Let's ask. After her pitch dies down. You asked whether Susie knows anything about the bistro's specialty from years ago. Oh, you mean Le Bistro Blanc? I was actually the old owner's routine supplier at the time. Really? Then in that case... Yes, I do have an idea what sort of vegetables went into the dish. I can distinctly remember artichokes, sticking out amongst the bunch, though. Artichokes? You mean those edible pistol buds, right? They're pretty commonly distributed throughout Gllia, last I remember. Well, I can't speak for anywhere else, but we do eat them quite a lot here. They've got just the faintest thing of a sweetness, perfect for steaming. And they're plenty nutritious to boot. The previous owner particularly sagged their praises. Wow, I can see why. If you don't mind though, could you tell us about the other vegetables used in that dish? Oh, of course. Now let me see. You learned all you can about the ingredients for the specialty dish. You should report back to the bistro in the central district. Wait. Moving on. Guess you're done good. Oh, you're back. Do those beaming little faces of yours mean what I think they mean? Yes, or, well, I hope so anyway. You report the information you gathered about the dish's ingredients to Roscoff. Whitefish, clams, shrimp, artichoke and other vegetables, all in a hearty broth. Now that sounds like a local specialty if I ever heard one. All that's left is to recreate it. Shante, I don't suppose you'd like to help me? Oh, you know it, honey. Roscoff and Shante made their way into the kitchen. Before long, an aromatic scent wafted out, and a single dish soon followed. Ooh, that looks good! And here we have it, Balduq style, Aquilabais, courtesy of Le Bistro Blanc. Wow, it looks delicious. So, it was Balduq bison all along. This was the previous owner's recipe?
Amazing.
That's right, just one look at those ingredients and it came right to me. Prescient for a dish like this is a balanced diet all on its own. Got such a beautiful color too. Bouillabaisse itself is a fairly common dish here in Gllia. The recipe varies quite a bit between different household and establishments. But this particular one satisfies both body and soul, a perfect meld of comfort and nourishment. It is, without a doubt, a dish convinced from the previous owner's utmost compassion and care. It'll be a hit with the customers, you can be sure of that. Indeed, I can't express enough how happy I am to have received this dish. Now, all will have a chance to enjoy it. Whether for the first time ever, or in forever. You have my sincerest thanks. We couldn't have done this without you. Oh, not at all. I'm just glad our info ended up helping in the end. Well, that makes two of us, darling. Now then, let's say we get that reward of yours in you before it gets cold. Everyone was then treated to the Oka basin they'd helped to make. A rich, nutritious meal, freshen and revitalize them both inside and out. After walking Shanta back to the dandelion, they resumed their activities once again.
That actually went pretty well.
Indeed it did. And it looks like we got the recipe for it too. Cool. Alright, well, I think I've done all of these side quests now. Oh. Oh, well, we do have the prison rescue still, though. But yeah, that seems to be the only one. That is nice. Alright, tell you what though, I am gonna end up this episode here. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see y'all in the next one. Until then, bye bye.